Hearing's not so good anymore from all the amplifiers. I just realized what you said. I'm on here talking all that trash.
Yeah, they're going to hear us. So once this gets online, you'll see it over there.
Okay.
You'll see it here as well. We're going to get a big screen.
Realize what you said. I'm on here talking all that trash.
Yeah, they're going to hear us. So once this gets online, you'll see it over there.
As soon as somebody comes in,
you'll see it here as well.
they will be.
We're going to get a big screen.
Realize what you said. I'm on here talking all that trash.
Yeah, they're going to hear us. So once this gets online, you'll see it over there.
As soon as somebody comes in,
You see
You'll
us?
see it here as well.
nobody can see us.
We're going to get a big screen.
Realize what you said. I'm on here talking all that trash.
Yeah, they're going to hear us. So once this gets online, you'll see it over there.
As soon as somebody comes in,
You see
You'll
us?
see it here as well.
nobody can see us.
We're going to get a big screen.
Realize what you said. I'm on here talking all that trash.
Yeah, they're going to hear us. So once this gets online, you'll see it over there.
As soon as somebody can see people watching,
You'll see it here as well.
nobody can see us.
We're going to get a big screen.
Realize what you said. I'm on here talking all that trash.
Yeah, they're going to hear us. So once this gets online, you'll see it over there.
Somebody can see people watching.
Realize what you said. I'm on here talking all that trash.
Yeah, they're going to hear us. So once
I
this
usually
gets
do
online,
stickers. I'll take the measurement and put it on, say 150. And what I call APL grams.
Realize what you said. I'm on here talking all that trash.
I should relax. I usually do stickers. I'll take the measurement and put it on, say 150. APL grams.
Realize what you said. I'm on here talking all that trash.
Gentlemen, there should be no feedback. All my volumes are off. Is that better? Is that better, gentlemen? There should be no feedback. All my volumes are off. Is that better? Is that better, gentlemen? There should be no feedback. All my volumes are off. Is that better? Is that better, gentlemen? There should be no feedback. All my volumes are off.
volume is off. That should be better, guys. Hello?
Is it still on there? I'm gonna scream at the computer. It should be gone. That's better. Hello, Brian. How are you? So we got 9,000 people here. Okay. Let's all take a little second here and say it's gone. Thank you. I'm still here, and Mr. Mike Clark is here. I'd like to just say thank you to Mr. Mike Clark for taking out his time to hang out and have a good time. And, you know, share with the whole world, or whoever's watching, his practice routines. And hello and good day, Renzo. Renzo's from Sweden. Oh boy. Okay, anyway, I just want to say thank you to Mr. Mike. Mike, you can say hello to everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Matt, for having
Now,
me.
what I'd like to start off with, if it's okay with Mike, is like we were doing before. It's just a little routine. What are you saying?
What is he saying? I can't see it.
You're not saying anything.
Oh,
Oh, again. Okay, applause. Everybody applause you. Get up. He didn't want to wear his tuxedo today, but that's okay. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to talk to Mike, and I'm going to compare notes with Mike and myself. You know, when I first started, because we're about the same age. Mike might be a little bit older, right, Mike?
I'm old. I think I'm older than you, Matt. I'm 69, and I have a birthday coming up October 3rd.
You're 2 months older than me.
Ah, see?
Okay, so he can start first. All right, what we're going to talk about is when he first started to play, who was his like first teacher, what kind of things that he did, what kind of music he was listening to. So, Mike, it's yours.
All right. Well, my father was a drummer, and there was always a drum set around the house, and always jazz records. And the type of records he played were like Count Basie, Duke Ellington, Gene Krupa with Goodwin, Artie Shaw, Buddy Rich, Lionel Hampton, Zooty Singleton, Louis Armstrong, blah blah. And so when I was 4, I walked over to the drums and started playing, and I could already play some. I've been apparently since I was born listening to his records unwittingly. So I played something like this. The kind of the Gene Krupa tom-tom thing. And my dad was like, "Oh, really?" So that night he took me to a nightclub with his friends and had me play. And I had to stand up. I was 4, so I couldn't sit down and reach the pedals. So I played Sweet Georgia Brown, and I played with a band, the Dixieland Band, and I played the tom-tom.
That actually was my first solo too, Sweet Georgia Brown.
Well, okay, we're the same age pretty much.
Yeah, but I wasn't 4 years old.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, I should be a lot better than I am.
No, you're right on it.
I'm okay. But that's what happened, and then, and then when I kept playing, and he got me gigs. I got good real fast, like pretty good real fast. You know how each artist grows at a different time, so time period. So the time from 4 or 5 years old to the time I was 22 or 23, I had a growth, and it didn't hardly hit any walls until around 23 or 24.
And you didn't have no lessons though. I just played music.
I just played music. And my dad knew a little bit. He played the thumb drumming like Zooty Singleton and those guys. This. Remember that in those days? Yeah. Yeah, so that, I didn't know any of this or that, or I just, so, and then Lionel Hampton record, so, and I play a solo called Crazy Hamp. I never transcribed anything, but it was something like this. On and on.
You were playing like that when you were 12?
Oh, I played like that when I was 7.
All right, Mike.
Yeah, I did. And so I did gigs as a child solo drummer, and then the older guys would teach me. My father was aggressive with my early career, so he would pay the drummer $5 for the band leader, $10, a lot of money in those days. Buy everybody a drink. They loved that. Let the kid play. And so then he met a couple of talent scouts, and I started doing gigs as a young child. And then when I was about 8 years old, he brought home an Art Blakey record, not knowing what it was. There was some guy on the cover playing drums, so he bought it for me. And when I heard it, I went nuts. And I remember my first words to him were, "Dad, that sounds like Egyptian music." Like his cymbal drove me crazy. I didn't even know what all of that meant, but I somehow understood the music, and that led me to Charlie Parker and Max and Philly and everybody else. That's how it went. So by the time I was 10, I was into bebop. I actually had shades and a beret, I swear to God.
And long hair.
It's pretty, yeah. Yeah, hell, yeah. A lot more hair.
Yeah, and after that, that was in the Bay Area in San Francisco?
No, he traveled as a railroad man, so it was like Savannah, Atlanta, New Orleans, Pittsburgh, Keysport, Biloxi, and then the Bay Area.
But you eventually just hung out where you put some roots down in the
Yeah.
Bay, was it San
Oakland.
Oakland.
I was born in Sacramento.
Okay.
So I had relatives out there, and trauma started happening in the family right away between my father and my mother, and so they sent me to the relatives and put me in Catholic school.
Oh, geez.
Because that would straighten me out.
Yeah.
Oh, I hadn't done anything wrong yet. But anyway, then I became a bebopper, and I played in every school jazz and big band and whatever I could get my hands on. Shakey's Pizza was out there. I don't know if you guys had Shakey's on the East Coast, but I would book gigs in the 6th grade with my little jazz quartet in Shakey's.
That's pretty cool.
It was very cool. I
Yeah.
loved it. The girls would come out too. That was awesome. That's what. Yeah.
How about when you hooked up? What was your relationship with that guy from played boom 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 bop, one of that funky guy? You know that? What's his name?
Paul Jackson?
No.
David Garibaldi?
There you go.
First of all, I love David Garibaldi. He's a giant and a genius.
Absolutely. That was just joking, by the way. You know that.
Oh, of course. So, there was a club called the On Broadway, and I went in there. I played on Broadway with the band that David used to play in called the Reality Sandwich. David left with the Tower. I didn't have no.
Where did they get names like that? Reality Sandwich.
Well, it was the hippie era. So like. But the bandstand was like against this wall in the On Broadway, and there was also a little club, a little jazz club on this wall. So Paul Jackson from the Headhunters, he used to be an organ player as well. We had a little jazz duo, and we were playing in this club on this side, and David Garibaldi was over here with the Tower of Power, and there was a door you could walk from club to club. So Paul and I heard the room shaking and went on the other side to listen to these guys, and that was the first time I heard David or the Tower of Power. And when I was completely floored. It was so funky and so original and so. I mean, I heard all the roots, JB, all of the stuff they were coming from, Clyde, Bernard Purdy. I understood what was going on, but it hit me right where I live. And a dear friend of mine, Linda Tillery, who a great singer, was sat in it with them and sang "Too Hot to Handle" by Otis Redding. Too hard to handle, and I couldn't believe it. And so then it blew my mind. And there was hardly anybody in the club when I walked in there. Maybe
Isn't that
5
amazing?
people. But by the time they got to the third song,
It was loaded.
it was packed, and the people were dancing and going crazy. It was an incredible experience for me. So then he came to hear me with the Reality Sandwich, and he realized that we were on similar
Levels?
and paths,
Okay.
similar idea. Although I was more interested in I was playing jazz gigs, and that was where my love lay, not in the funk. But I was also young, and so I wanted to be part of this Oakland scene. And when he heard me, his exact word to me was, "I wasn't psychologically prepared for what I heard you do." I think he was talking about a feel I had played, not the entire evening, And then the rest is history. I did what I did, he did what he did, but we were both already pretty well formed by the time we met each other. I'd never heard David before. He was so good that I was in a state of shock about it. I'd call all my friends, all the Bay Area drummers, and please come hear this guy, and they did, and they had the same reaction I did.
Well, you know that we just did an interview with David about a month ago.
Yeah.
All he was doing is talking about Mike Clark. It was supposed to be a David Garibaldi interview.
Oh, come on.
This is the Mike Clark interview, and you're talking about David Garibaldi. and that's a great relationship. I mean, everybody relates to you, and they say, "Well, Mike is one of the greatest funky drummers in the world." And yet, you don't consider yourself funky. You consider yourself a jazz player. And you're just a great player in my opinion, whether it be funk or just jazz. And just that time, what was the name of the club that I went to see you and Lenny White at?
The Iridium.
The Iridium. And Daryl Johns was on it. Oh man.
Daryl,
okay.
yeah.
And here's two of my idols, or two of my heroes. I went to see, and man, those guys cooked and cooked and cooked. I was in a state of shock all night. You and Lenny White.
Oh, well,
Unbelievable.
Lenny White is another one of the greatest improvisers My favorite drummers, we might as well get this out
Yeah,
of the way
sure.
right now, are Billy Hart
Don't forget me.
and Lenny White
Uh-huh.
and Matt Patella. Of
All right,
course.
thank you.
And I like Matt the best, but no, you're one of my favorite. You're a wonderful drummer. The reason I'm over here is I saw Matt on YouTube and I watched how his hands move and I said, oh man, I got to meet this guy, man. His hands look beautiful. But Lenny Hughes and I put a band together, so I was able to play with him 4 or 5. We've been friends since the 70s. I met him in a club called the Both and he was playing with Bobby Hutcherson and Woody Shaw at the time. And when I heard him play, I was devastated, and we became buddies. And I've had a chance to play with him quite a few times, and so I can really tell you firsthand, being in a band with him, what a deep artist and what a deep musician he is. I mean, I love Tony Williams, Elvin Jones, Philly Joe, Roy Haynes, Papa Joe, you name it. I love every one of those guys. But for right now, the guys that come to mind and are most interesting to me as improviser is Lenny and Billy Hart, because they can quarterback the gig, and I never know what they're going to play.
Well,
And it all comes from the history. They're historians in their hands and instantaneously translated into brilliance.
I'll tell you, it's like the improv. We're going to get into the improv, but let's get down to basics first. I mean, other than, we'll work on hands maybe later, but let's just talk about the music itself. You playing the music, the interaction with the music, doing fours, the AABA, all that good stuff,
Yeah, sure.
A lot of guys don't know what AABA is,
Right.
or 12-bar blues, or they're taking fours, or they're doing a solo over the 4. You could explain all that if you'd like.
Well, let's say you have 32 bars, rhythm changes like Flintstones, da 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 da. Yeah, it's rhythm changes. It's 30 AABA, right, and with the bridge. So when you're playing a solo, you just don't go off and start playing everything you know. You play the form of the tune, So and at each A, B, A, I kind of give some kind of a little sign. I hold up a little sign to let the band know.
A.
Where I am. So that I mean, I'm not Buddy Rich, where at the end of the thing I'm like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's kind of, he could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
And
certainly,
Art Blakey, too.
and yeah, I know how to do it, but you got to play the tune. Same with the 12-bar blues, and you play 12 bars. So, my advice is, of course, at the first, I used to count it like 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, But if you really listen to the tune a lot and learn as many tunes as you can, you don't have to count. At one point, you internalize the tune and the time, and you can take a couple of choruses, and everybody will know where you are, hopefully, in the tune. And
They're supposed to.
they're supposed to, yeah. And they're supposed to know it as good as we do. Better, I would hope, because they have the harmony, or whatever, So, learn how to do that. I practice doing that. When I realized...
Listening to the music.
Yeah.
Playing to the music.
Playing the records in my day.
I get a lot of guys come to me, I don't want to play that jazz, I don't understand. And all of a sudden, they all come back together again. So I said, how do they do that? How could they all be playing all outer space stuff, and all of a sudden they all come back together?
Right.
Wynton Marsalis said it the best, in my opinion. As long as you follow the rules and the regulations, you follow the structure, everybody in the group should be where you're at mentally with the tune, and you come right back. It all works that way. Now, I've gone to a lot of jam sessions. I'm sure you went to 10,000 more jam sessions than I did. Where played, and sometimes you're going to be called upon to play a tune you don't know. Let me get to the computer.
Okay.
What happens when you don't know the tune?
Are we still online?
Yeah.
Okay, well, what I do is, instead of trying to jump bad and be a badass drummer and all that stuff, I play time and I listen to the tune. I try to find how long the tune is. Like, in other words, I hear an A section, I hear a bridge or whatever, or if it's a blues or not. And once I figure that out, then I can blow on the tune. I can improvise, and you know, I add little things so it sounds like I actually do know what I'm doing, although I don't know the tune. But I try to pretend I know the tune, and by doing that, that's how I learn more tunes, right?
Yeah.
So I stay cool, play the cymbal, play time, support, until I know what I'm doing, you know.
Well, there's one time I went to a jam session. I must have been about 15 years old. I got past this 18 or whatever. And I go up on stage and sit in, and I thought I was the hotshot drummer. Get up there, I'm gonna blow this, man. They were playing in 3/4, I was playing in 4/4. That's number one. I get off the tune, and the piano player, real big guy, I'm looking up at him like this. Good boy, next time you come up here, learn how to play time first.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean,
It's a
actually,
learning experience.
fortunately, I've had many nights many encounters like that. I mean,
It's just a great thing. I mean, it's the learning experience. You know, what I learned from a jam session, like learning the A, B, A section, 32 bar tune, was if I didn't know the tune, I go home and listen. I'd sleep
Yeah.
with the tune
Yeah.
until next time we're going to go to the jam session. It wasn't to prove anything; it was for me to learn.
absolutely.
Next time I went to the jam session, I called that same tune.
Thank you.
They'd be looking at me, "Oh, that's better, boy." You
Yeah,
know?
sure.
And that's how you learn. And after you do that for a period of time, before you know it, you have like 300-400 songs under your belt.
Yeah,
And being a seasoned player like you are, you know the tune, you know the structure, but you don't know the melody of the tune, but you still know the structure. And once it loops over once or
Yeah.
twice, you're going to hear it.
yeah. After a
And-
while, you get good at it. I
Yeah.
always tell guys, it's like driving a stick shift. If you haven't done it, then it's very uncomfortable. But after you get it together, it's
Yes.
fun. And the thing about learning song forms for me is, if I solo better with the song form than just over one chord. Or, you know, in the old days, like, the band would go to the bar and drink, and you'd be up there for 20 minutes playing everything you could think of. But if I have a form, like an AABA, then I have a place to hang my hat. Like, if it's like, it's at this tempo, 1, 2, 3. That's the top of the next thing. So I've been able to do something other than get up there and go like, and have nowhere to go. You just say at the end.
Well, see, a lot of people misunderstand the soloing thing. What am I doing? Paradiddles, vice versa, hit the tom-toms, and that sounds good. It has nothing to do with the relationship with the music. It does not create the feel.
And it doesn't have your. Go ahead. Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
No,
The
no.
one tune that gets me insane, the Coltrane thing with A Moment's Notice.
Oh yeah.
Oh, mercy.
You gotta make those hits.
Oh, I tried to figure that out and figure out, that's not a 32 bar tune. And I was hanging out with 32 bars. I finally get it after a year.
Right.
And that's the first thing I call on a gig. You know, moment's notice, da 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 da, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's the 12-bar blues. It is so much. But how did you get labeled as the world's funkiest drummer?
Well, first of all, I don't know whether I've been labeled as, I'm one of the most sampled drummers, and I don't have a Rolex, so we can start with that. I definitely have some ideas about that, I'll tell you that. But, well, my jazz records, my bebop records, and post-bop records sell 2,000, 2,500, and the record I made with Herbie sold 1 million. So there it is right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that kind of exposure. And, of course, I was a little... had my druthers about playing with Herbie because we weren't going to play jazz. I was like, wow, I don't know. Not that I hated funk, but man, I was playing at the time with Woody Shaw and Bobby Hutcherson, Vince Guaraldi. I was doing all jazz gigs night after night, and then with my friends too. So I was always swinging, which I find totally joyful. I find the history, the conversation, the language, everything about it I love. I'm looking in there. I'm sorry. I'm like, hey, but that was my passion and my wealth of my knowledge. Now, the funk thing was something that got me girlfriends, dates, and money. And I knew how to do it. Plus, when I lived in Texas, I had ended up on a lot of blues gigs. Albert King, Jimmy Reed, who's the other guy? Freddie King, O.C. Smith. I could go on. I just can't. Jimmy Hughes, he had a hit out called Steal Away. Delbert McClinton. And one, you know, Sam and Dave, some of the guys that made those big records, because I worked in a club 5 nights a week, and those guys would come, or maybe 6 nights, I can't remember.
Sam and Dave?
Those-
You don't have them.
Yeah, well, they'd
Yeah.
come in for a week sometimes too when I was
Yeah.
in the band, so that's why I wasn't in their band.
That's
I
the
was
same thing with me. I used to do
Yeah.
the same thing. You mentioned something about Savannah, about Georgia.
Georgia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You used to live in Georgia?
I did for 3 months in Atlanta and then 3 or 4 months in Savannah.
I'll
Yeah.
tell you, so that's where I was, Savannah. For
Oh,
a while.
really?
Yeah.
I heard a little. Go ahead.
Well, Savannah, I'll tell you, I was with the Army band back then. And we, the Army, you're not supposed to, we used to be gigging,
Excuse me.
that's right, 6, 7 nights a week, in addition to playing with the Army band. And I'll tell you, they had some really great music down there. And it wasn't doing the club music, it was after the club. We go to the jam session.
Oh yeah.
Man, those guys would get down. You talk about being funky, those guys were funky.
I
They
heard-
didn't have, this is a 5-stroke roll, this is the C sharp or A B, or that kind of, they just played. But anyway, the funk thing was when you labeled, you got labeled as the funk drummer
I did.
as when you were with Herbie Hancock.
From being with her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you
that-
did a book, no?
I did. See, I
What-
did a book. Yeah, I was going to tell you one thing. When I was in Savannah in 1954 or 5, I was a little boy. My father took me to hear Little Richard. Check that out. And I stood right in front of the stage, and my knees got weak. I almost went down because it affected me. And he had a drummer that played left-handed, like this, like Lenny. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
I get confused with Lenny White, man, whether he's right-handed or left-handed.
Well, that guy is brilliant. I get confused when he starts playing. Well, I think I'm pretty good until I do a gig with him, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's the truth, bro. You know?
Anyway, guys like you, Mike, the age thing, being almost 70 years old, always get labeled as old school. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. It's just a number. Roy Haynes, he ain't old school.
No,
He's
man,
still as modern.
he just creates and creates and creates. That man can play, man. But my point is, when they hit me up with that, you're too old, man, you're old school. Well, you do a paradiddle. That was a paradiddle like 100 years ago.
And it's still.
Yeah. And what does that mean?
That's BS, man. Like, look, Jack DeJohnette's older than I am.
Is he really?
Yeah, and
That makes you feel good, right?
Yeah. Did you hear that? Look, Roy Haynes, Elvin Jones before he passed. How can you get any more modern than that guy? I don't care how many rolls around.
Every time he played was modern.
Gee.
I mean, I heard him a couple of times. I love that man.
You
And when I
think-
first saw him, I said, man, he can't play worth a damn.
You didn't understand.
No, and he had his hands like, I said, he's got to take some lessons to hold the drumsticks correctly. Then one time I just turned my back listening to it. I just turned around and said, what? That man can play.
Oh boy.
Well, I'm not going to be prejudiced here, but he is my hero.
He's my hero too.
You know?
He's my hero.
We're going
I
to
mean, I
take
got
some
a lot of
questions, gentlemen. I don't hear any questions here. We're going to do some exercises that we do as a routine to warm up. But let's hear let's get some questions going on. Like, what size shirt do I wear? Or what size sticks does Mike use?
Where do you want to send my check?
Be nice. Nothing yet. Anyway, all right, let's talk about, you want to loosen up with a vamp? I want to do a little hand exercises, if you don't
All right.
mind. Want to turn the metronome on 150. We'll do 4 measures of 8 notes. Right hand, 4 measures of left hand. And we'll just do it for about a minute and a half.
Let's do it.
Okay?
Yeah.
Here we go. 1, 2, 70, boom. 3. show off.
I'm not. I'm following you.
Okay, that should be it. Does you feel good? You feel relaxed? What is this now?
Ooh, yeah. I like.
Vaden asked the question. Let me see what he's got going on. We could help. He was a nice guy to come here the other day to take a lesson. Good drummer, man. What would you recommend to young musicians who are trying to get gigs?
What was the question?
His question. What would you recommend young musicians how to get gigs?
I would say go out
Right.
to nightclubs or wherever people, your peer group or people you want to play with are playing. Introduce yourself. See if you can sit in. If not, maybe try to arrange a session. Go to somebody's house and play. Just become part of the community and be a nice guy and just get involved. You know. And it's always good if you can to play with people that are a little bit better than you. So you know, it's like doing this. If you're comfortable here, maybe at the end of the day, try to be here. You know, to where you know, always challenging yourself a little bit. You know, that's what I did. I tried to find guys that were above my level and play with them. And then it was a little uncomfortable at first, but then I would get good at that, and then I'd move up to the next. You know, it required a lot of going out.
Hey, we got another. Okay, we not finished? You finished with that one? I'm sorry. We have another question. Mike, how did you get the whole offbeat, loose approach to funk that I hear on Headhunters and other records of yours?
Okay, one more time. How did I get to what?
The offbeat.
Offbeat?
Yeah. See, that's the term offbeat, downbeat, all that good stuff. How do you get funky, man? How do you interact with the bass players? What I think the question should be. But he said, Mike, how do you get the whole offbeat? Instead of laying down a 2 and 4 pocket, being a pocket drummer, you know, how do you get that flow, the feel? Everybody's coming back to the one. You know, it's what's the word I want to think of? Can you get that one on the mic? The funk that you hear on the Headhunters?
Yeah, well, my feeling is if you have to play a 2 and 4 pocket and that's what's appropriate, don't fight the feeling, do that. But if you are comfortable with people and there's an arrangement where a more syncopated thing, type of rhythm fits, then do that for sure if you can. If you can get away with it, maybe not too much. But if you have to coordinate the beats, always try to find where the unisons are and where they're not. In other words, if this is the hi-hat, let's say, so you find out where the hands are hitting together and where they're not, when they're not together. Same with the feet. When you incorporate the feet, you know, you like, so that way, then you can organize a beat that makes sense, whether the offbeat is on, whether the backbeat is on 2 and 4 or not. That's what I did.
That's like the fatback. You know, the pocket drummers, the commercialized mainstream drummers, you're always hearing the 2 and 4.
Right.
You know, and when all of a sudden, when another musician that you're playing with doesn't hear the 2 and 4, it's a panic attack. You know?
Yeah.
And that's where I think that the funk does begin, is the offbeat. Like I don't like to refer to it as an offbeat, but you're not accustomed to the 2 and 4. You don't hear you're playing around the 2 and 4, but it's there. And it's saying what he just said here, an unexpected voice utilization. I don't know what that means.
Well, to me, the whole thing is syncopation. It's either syncopated or it's not.
Straight
and
ahead.
some bands are real straight ahead, and then it would be like you can't put a square key in a round hole. You know, you gotta, if it needs a good fat back 2 and 4 or a good pop and shuffle, then you know don't go against it just to prove. But if you're working on syncopation, then work on your coordination and make beats that make sense. Make sure that they hold water. If you just have a bunch of off beats and you know, it's going to kind of just sound. It has to be organized so that it is a beat. Like go for a 2. One good way to figure out the ghost notes syncopation is to make a 2-bar phrase and then come up with something that you feel is funky in a 2-bar phrase. That's what I did. I mean, these are things that I did. I don't know whether it worked for everybody, but it did pretty good for me so far.
I heard Dennis Chambers do a fatback demonstration. Okay, And like we just said, you know, when you're not popping 2 and 4 like a mainstream or commercialized music, and you know, when you're doing the 2 and 4, you always come into the 1.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
You know, and when you're doing a fatback, it's not coming to the 1. It's coming to maybe the end of 1. So it does sound syncopated, and it does sound, I guess, offbeat, what he said.
Right.
And that then, like you said, add to that what you feel. As long as you maintain that theme.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I hear it like it's a one phrase.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm not thinking of where the 2 and 4 are. I know where that is instinctively at this point. So I'm hearing it like a phrase. I'm hearing the overall rather than little bits and pieces. You know, I get an idea and then I flush it out. I try to, you know, but it has to make sense at the end of the day. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of notes.
See, there's so much misinformation and the terms that are being used are I feel, being misused. Who's that?
That's my phone. Yeah.
You want your phone?
No. Yeah.
The mouse on the wall.
Yeah, right. That's what it is. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's the misinformation. It's like, for example, and I'm not being bashing nobody. It's with total respect I say this. It's the Gary Shafee books. He has a book, Time Functions. And he labels a part of it fatback. And it's not really fatback, in my opinion.
Right.
You know, he's laying down a heavy 2 and 4 constant as an ostinato pattern. And he's developing, you know, you maneuvering the bass drum against the different simple ostinatos. And people say, well, that's not a fatback. Well, according to Gary Shafee, that's what he labeled it as. That's a fatback. What about your book? With did I show everybody your book? Let me put it back up on the screen. There's going to be a bit of a delay. There you go. That looks familiar.
Nice looking guy. Whoever
No,
that
I was
is,
talking
right?
about the symbols.
I see. I see. All right. Yeah. Well, they look pretty good too.
Let's talk. What is this book about? I mean, do you progressively get more difficult, or you just drop a bomb on them immediately?
I drop a bomb on them and do all kinds of stuff. I didn't put it in any chronological order, like this is the easy stuff, and then this was made for a little more advanced drummers, not super advanced like Vinnie Caliuta or somebody like that, or Weckel or those guys, but you know, a guy that's interested in what I did. So I dropped them in at about where I was in about 1968 and moved forward. But I had, you know, I showed them left hand. There's extra left hand on the hi-hat funk, and you know, as they call open, you know, and the different. The question the guy was asking me about the offbeats is in this book for days. That's what it's about, is the syncopation. So it's different levels of syncopation that I've advanced since this book was written, but at that point, this book kind of sums up where I was at.
Where could they purchase this book?
You have to go through, at this point, the books, go Amazon.
Amazon?
Yeah. Hal Leonard, go to Hal Leonard.
Does it have a disc with it?
It does, yeah.
I know that.
Or you could send $5,000 to me, and I'll send you an autographed copy with 1 or 2 extra
5,000. You
notes.
charged me 6,000.
I know. Well,
I thought we were friends.
Yeah, I'm mad at it.
Well, you're having a rough time.
Yes. I live in New York. What?
And your WBGO interview went well, huh?
I thought so. Gary Walker is great and asks such great questions that are right spot on. You know, and so and plus we're talking about the Headhunters, and that's one band I do know a lot about. Let's face it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like so, and it was fun. It's fun to talk about Hancock because he was a genius and also a nice person. You know, that's
we have some drum related questions in there.
Okay.
About ghost notes, what exercises you do to develop them, or your dynamics. And if you want to take this one, you can take it, or if you finish, I'll take mine.
You go.
No,
I like to hear what you say.
Flip
Yeah.
a coin.
Hey,
But
go ahead.
first of all, you have to understand what dynamics are and ghost notes. See, there's really nothing like we're talking about playing the music. That's where you develop everything. Like everybody says to you, or another teacher would say, I want to teach you how to groove. That's nonsense. Nobody can teach you to groove. Nobody, except the music. When you sit down, I could, for example, when I teach, I could show you a pattern. But what you do with the pattern is entirely up to you. You go on a gig, you're out there playing, say that pattern to that song. I'm not telling you where to play it and where it belongs. There's no right or wrong. But dynamics, you know, if you learn your dynamics, the pianissimo, the mezzo forte, the forte, all that good stuff, you know, the left hand is where you want to play ghost notes if you're right-handed. You're playing on the hi-hat. A lot of guys play the hi-hat when they're playing like this, eighth notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, that's like nothing, no disrespect to any kinds of music. That's a rock drummer playing heavy metal. You want to be musical. There's a technique. You're pushing the 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm playing against that constant. Now, I want to play ghost notes. Well, I'm not going to play on top of that. I'm going to play in between that. So I'll play 16ths. Now, when I'm playing the offbeats of the eighth notes, I'm going to play real soft, or I'll play real loud, or I'll come to the 2 and 4 and pop it. That's sort of commercialized mainstream. But if you're talking about dynamics as far as, say, single strokes, or, you know, you want to come here, there's the level system, which I teach. And that's coming from up here, the full stroke. It's the laws of physics. Obviously, if I stroke from this point down, I'm going to get a louder sound. If I attack it from here, a lesser sound. So if I want to do crescendos, decrescendos with single strokes, I'm going to do it slow. If I'm playing down here, I'm playing light. A little heavier, louder. I want to bring the sticks up. Louder. Man, nobody really plays like that. I mean, that hard. But there's that realm, that spectrum of the level system that's in there, which is very, very natural. Your turn.
Show me your fulcrum in your right hand, please. Is that okay with you to do that? Let me look at that. I like how it looks. Well, the $5, give him $25. I'm going to get a lesson right now.
Well, first off, I have to explain a few things to everybody who's viewing. I'm not handicapped. You know, it's a couple years back I was doing some outside work on my house, and I was using a table saw, and I cut my thumb. So, see that mic?
Yep, I know.
That's a little deformed there. But my fulcrum, I basically grab the thumb. You see how that looks? They can't see that. Right. Come on, camera.
There it is.
Yeah. It's like I'm holding it down like this. The stick is in here like that. All right? And these fingers on the bottom are relaxed. This is my grip, and the stick is right in here. I don't go like this. I don't know what that's about. I have to control the stick. You see how that's working, Mike?
Yeah, beautiful.
You know, my thumb is flat up against it, and I'm just playing. I'm letting the stick do the work, man. I'm riding the stick. It's not like this. I mean, that's the way to play when I'm playing a ride cymbal.
Yeah, me too.
You know, I play it like that. But when I'm on one surface, I want to hit it. That's how I hold it. And it depends if I'm getting the numbness in my left hand, my right hand, you know, I got to make that adjustment just because I hurt myself, but it's still there. In my left hand, I have the same problem. I showed that to you when I was a young boy. I got cut, and I got 64 stitches in this hand, and I have no feeling in this pinky. I could make a fist, but if I go like that, you see that pinky pop out? I go like that, but it comes right back. It's weird. And that's why I could never do that push and pull.
You can't throw them out and bring them back over.
Yeah, well, can you demonstrate that push and pull? Look at that. I mean, that's what it takes, is that up and down. Look at that left hand.
Well, when I get warmed up, I do it with no finger. It's like this. I'm actually going like this. And it looks like I'm pushing and pulling. I
Yeah,
can
the fingers
push
have to
and pull.
move.
But if I say, there it is.
Yeah.
And I just kind of turn the hand and it happens.
I can't do that. I can't use that finger like that. But what I rely on is that rebound there, like that, like I'm riding a basketball.
So you're turning, it's a wrist turn.
Well, the wrist has to move
Right.
to make the stick move. If I go stiff, I can stay stiff like that.
Right.
Like what we talked about before with Morello. You know that thing?
Right.
Or,
Now
you know,
that's isolated, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but for the most part, it's a wrist turn, right?
it's the wrist turn, and it comes down to You know, everything comes from the wrist. Everything. Whether I'm playing up here, which is totally ridiculous, but it's coming from the wrist.
Right.
If I'm playing from here, it's coming from the wrist.
Right.
And the stick is riding on my fingers, which helps the wrist. That's it.
It's still, yeah.
Yeah, but it's all got to come from the wrist at
Okay.
all times. So, that Morello thing drives me crazy.
Oh my God.
Let's see, we got a few.
Okay, I have one I'd like to show these
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
Now, this is not scientific. This is an old double stroke roll. And this was shown to me by a great drummer named Ray Torres from Texas. So it's a double stroke roll, 2 on each, with a triplet feel. Left, 1, 2, right, 2, 3, left, 2, 3. Very easy. And then when you pick up the speed, you have a nice, clean, open roll. Right, that way you're not like, if you go too fast, it's tacky. For me, I can play really fast, not as fast as some, not as fast as I used to. I used to be able to play at 1,000 on the metro.
Yeah, right.
Okay, sorry. Anyway, but yeah, I got a little older. Now I'm at 900. But it's just an open double. If you're playing a blues shuffle, it works right. It doesn't have to be real fast. Same with jazz. Okay, another way is to start with the left, but you can end with the flam. So the ending is almost Wilcoxon-ish. Sorry. Now this sets you up for some good funk. Like if you're at this tempo, feel me? So you don't have to be like, it doesn't have to be that. It can be nice and soulful and loose and open. And in closing, before we go on to the next thing, I used to take, Ray taught me this just when I was a kid, to take little phrases, like there used to be a tune by Junior Walker, which you know, called Shotgun. You and I grew up on this tune. So the intro was like, you know, excuse my singing. So we had, so then if you do it with one hand, it's something like, because you were asking me about ghost notes a little while ago. Okay, so then if you, it's a very simple thing. It's not like high technique, but if you add your ghost, play a double quietly in the right hand, or if it's jazz, bash, tang, tang, you know. So, or I got all this from Philly Joe watching him live. I never transcribed anybody's stuff, but I would get as close to it as I could and then make it fit my personality in my hands, like that.
You need some tape?
Did you tape that on there, baby? So in other words, all this type of thing, roughs and drags. Sorry, man, am I OD in here? Or is that, okay. You can take those drags and roughs, and you got some nice language. You organize it, you know. Get in that Wilcoxon book and get you some Philly Joe. Even if you want to play more like Elvin or Tony Williams or Jack, or even more modern like that, like Dennis Chambers or these guys, it's good to have some roughs, drags. One last one. Check this out. Rest. was an old exercise. So, but then I got like, you don't want to do it, it's too fast and it's too, once it gets here, it's stiff and tacky, and I don't, some guys dig it. I'm like, that ain't me. But right. Yeah. Put 2 bass drums in front of that. Can they hear my foot?
Yeah, a little bit. You got a pound in there.
Rest. You speed that up. Gang! Splang it. So find your own way. Find your own way to come back on the one or wherever it is you
Want to come back to it.
Thank you. All right, that was my little 2 cents on the dollar.
Anyway, I don't need to apologize, but I just like to make everybody aware of this. Usually, if I'm doing a guest in studio, it's on my website, so he can demonstrate on the drum set, or whoever it might be on the drum set. Right now, my site is down until September. We're doing some renovations, so to speak. And we were talking before that we were doing this, Mike and I, of scheduling Michael doing a live online lesson, okay? Maybe for 2 hours this time, but it's going to have to be a fee involved with it. Maybe. We'll see. All right, and also, if you're in the area, Mike and I are talking about some dates. If you're in the area, Mike's going to be doing a master class in my studio. We're going to come up with a date, and I'll announce it, and if anybody wants to come and whatever, it's going to be a 2-hour master class. We haven't come up with a price yet. What do you think we should charge, Mike?
$500 per student.
Yeah, that's
$500 per student.
I think you should give him a break of $450.
$450 is cool. $450.
What do you think?
Cool, yeah.
Really?
I think we kind of look alike. Look at us. We sort of look alike.
I'm better
Look
looking,
at-
though.
Well, you are. But I mean, other than that, I mean, let me. Yes to all of what he was just saying. I'm kidding, but I'm very serious about doing the class and working here with Matt for you guys. And if you like what you see and you want some further information, I'll dig down as far as I possibly can for you. That's real.
Okay. Well, we're going to come up with a price. We'll talk about the price. It's not going to be astronomical. $20, $25. We'll see. And there's going to be a maximum of maybe 12 people in the studio. It's interaction one-on-one, Mike playing, explaining, demonstrating, and also doing some play-alongs. You like that one, right? Doing the play-alongs?
I love doing the play-alongs, yeah. I love
Okay.
doing anything to do with drumming. I need to ask you a question when you're done. Are you
Sure.
done?
No, I got-
Now, in your studies, did you get into any kind of mower?
No molar, man.
Well, you have a movement though
Yeah.
that is similar to like throwing once and getting.
All right, well, the label molar and stone, and,
what
it
is
gets
all-
all confusing. First off, one of the ambassadors of drumming and I had a little fallout about molar. I don't know what molar is. Sanford Molar was a drummer, and a fine drummer, okay? And if it wasn't, the molar system, if it wasn't for a particular guy who wrote advanced techniques for the modern drummer, nobody would know. Nobody would know.
Sorry.
Nobody would know the molar. So molar became sort of, on the map. It's the molar system. Well, man, it's the laws of physics. Oh, sorry. For every action, there's an opposite reaction. I throw the stick down. The stick comes back. What is that? Is that molar? If I want the stick to come back fast, I throw it down fast and hard. If I want to compound it, I'm coming up from here, coming down. That's I don't know what you want to call that. It's just a reaction. If I hit here, it's a lighter sound. If I bring it up, it's a little bit louder. Same thing with this. So whether you want to call that molar or stone or Adler, it's all commercialized stuff. For every action, it's a science. I throw the stick down, it comes back. You want to call it molar? Go ahead. You want to call it Mike Clark? Call it Mike Clark. Whatever you want to call it. It's nothing, you know. And then Mike just mentioned with the left hand. Now you get these things first, the low molar, right molar, the half-inch molar. What is that?
I love this guy.
I mean, no, I gotta say it the way it is.
I love that, man. Go ahead.
What is that?
Preach. No, go on. I'm with you on this.
I mean, it's just, you want to get this sound, that's where you get it. You want to label it as low right molar, and you do it 20 times every other day, and you become good. You know, that's ridiculous. If I want to play something, I practice it. You know, Mike is talking about the left hand. You know, when I studied with Morello, I mean, in my opinion, nobody has had a faster left hand than Morello, in my opinion. I mean, I'm sure there was people out there, and I'd like to see them, that had a faster left hand. But speed is nothing, you know. He just had a technique, and if you see what I'm doing here, my wrist is moving, and I'm riding on the finger. I don't know if you can see it here like this. Let me turn the pad around.
Play over here, Matt, if you want to. I'd like to see
There
it.
you go. First off, it's that. Let me sit down right. I'm just laying down with the finger. That's all I'm doing. My wrist has to move. It's like when I tell somebody to do a full stroke, you can't go like that. Everything back here has to be relaxed. So it's moving. The same thing when I'm doing the left hand, it's moving, my wrist. But it's all controlled by, it's the lever of the finger, the wrist, the elbow joint, and back here. It's all working together and totally relaxed. I'm going with the flow of the stick. Now if I want to do an accent, well, there's a motion in there, like down, tap, up. I'll go back here. Down, tap, up, down. Same thing with this. I'm coming down. This is the slow motion broken down. It's down, tap, up. That's what's occurring, whether I'm going like this, down, tap, up, or if I'm here. Inside of that triplet is down, tap, up. If I'm playing against the jazz time, we'll play something with the right hand against it. Something up the money. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I don't know what that was, molar. I'm not thinking about that. Or I don't know what molar is. And if you want to label something as molar, and if it works for you, call it whatever you want. All I call this is hard work. That's all I call it.
I
That's
heard that,
all.
Rod.
All right, let's see what else.
Yes, sir. Is anybody talking to us over here?
Somebody said that you're so great and so expressive. Okay, Brian, I agree with that, without a doubt, definitely. And James, how you doing? And where's Mike? Is Mike, how are you, Mike? And Vayton and, all these other, Renzo is still here? Renzo, I didn't hear you applause. These guys are so great. And Brian's going, nice molar ramp. That's the truth. Okay, guys, we're going to kind of wrap it up because Mike has a heavy-duty schedule. Me, I'm old. I got to go take a nap. So until next time, what we're going to do is, like I said, I'm going to make everybody aware who's ever on my mailing list. I'm going to make everybody aware of what Mike's going to be doing for the site. Also, the times changed as far as these lessons for August. They're all going to be on here, one surface, 1 p.m., 8 p.m., Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday for the remainder of the month. Then I'm going to continually do this, but not as often because I have to go back to my other site. Okay, so everybody's welcome to be here and be happy, go home and practice, or get the pad or the drum set. All right, hold on.
You got a question?
No, I got some. What you got to do is email me. Let me put my email in here. Renzo the trip. He goes, yay. He's a nice guy.
God, this is fun.
Gentlemen, all you need to do is email me. Here's my email address, and I'll add you to my mailing list, and we'll get things going on. You'll be aware of everything that's occurring. We have some compliments here. Great masterclass. Thanks, Matt and Mike. I got my name first.
I know. I want my $5 back.
And it says, thank you, the discussion was great. It's been a privilege, thank you for having us. Okay, all right, well, I'm gonna close it down now, gentlemen. Thank you, James. You have to come frequent this site more often. Remember, Monday, let me put that up there first. Where'd it go? Where'd the screen go? There it
There you
goes.
go.
Let me put this up. There you go. No, that's for the live site. Wait a minute. No, that's my books. Where is it? Let's try that one. Okay. Here it comes. Take notes if you'd like. It'll be coming. There's a bit of a delay. Here we go. But that's not the one I want. Not yet. That's my publications, gentlemen. There you go. This is the lesson times for August. And it's free. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. And then you have, that's the site that you're on right now. So everybody's welcome. No problem. And if you get on my email list, I'll send you the PDFs and the agenda for the month. Okay, Mike, say goodbye.
See you guys later. Thank you very much. Check what I just found out at Matt's.
Oh.
Just found this book.
Yeah. I see. I
Thank
haven't
you
really.
guys, everybody.
Okay.
Billy Joe Jones, I'm gonna get into it. Oh boy, it's all here.
Yep.